Hello, time for another Man in Gray book review. And today we have a travel book for you. It's called Amazing Places to See in North America, and it was written by David Lewis, Laura Sutherland, and Eric Peterson. It was published in 2008 by Publications International Incorporated, and it's 320 pages. As you can tell, this is sort of a mini coffee table book, and it contains 250 locations around North America, United States, Canada, and Mexico that are worth visiting if you're planning on taking a vacation this summer. There's 1 or 2 page articles on each place, and there's a color photograph of each location. Now, all of the standard suspects are here, all the usual suspects, the touristy places that almost everyone knows about or goes to. There's the Statue of Liberty, Times Square, the Grand Canyon, Disneyland, Disney World, the Golden Gate Bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge, Yellowstone, the White House, the Capitol, and so forth. Well, and there's nothing wrong with going to those places, but what makes this book really valuable and I think interesting to read are all of the less known, less touristy places that are still really spectacular and worth seeing, which a lot of people don't know about. I really learned about a lot of these by thumbing through this. And the book is divided into regions. So there's the Southwest and the Great Plains and the Mid-Atlantic and the New England and so forth. And then there's separate chapters on Mexico and Canada. So I thought I would go through some of the places in here. I'm just going to read parts of the articles. Usually the little articles are only 2 or 3 paragraphs, so zip through them pretty quickly. But I thought I would go through and kind of give you kind of a thumbnail look at some of the places here, some of the lesser known places. I'm going to skip Disneyland and all that because you probably already know about that. So the first one we're going to look at here, and if I can find it, yeah, there we go, is the Vermont Institute of Natural Science right here. You can see there's a couple of photographs of an owl and an eagle. And it says here, the Vermont Institute of Natural Science Nature Center, just outside of tiny Woodstock, is the leading New England care center for injured raptors, owls, falcons, hawks, eagles, and vultures, about 25 species in all that can no longer survive in the wild. The center receives birds from all over the United States and houses them in specially adapted high-ceiling cages. Guests can enjoy bird watching along the center's picturesque nature trails. So if you enjoy raptors and birds, that would be a great place to go. Next, we have the New Jersey Pine Barrens. You can see right there, the New Jersey Pine Barrens. And of course, people think of New Jersey, they think of, urban areas, but there's this vast forest in New Jersey that most people outside of New Jersey don't know about. The New Jersey Pinelands National Reserve, better known as the Pine Barrens, is big, really big. The 1.1 million acre natural reserve is about the size of Glacier National Park in Montana. The barrens comprise impenetrable bogs and marshes with forests of low pine and oak, sporadic stands of cedar, and hardwood swamps. Under the barrens, the Kolnesi Aquifer contains more than 17 trillion gallons of water. Its acidity seeps through the barrens, bogs, and swamps and stains the water a tea color. Tourists love hiking, biking, boating, picking cranberries, and visiting historic villages. The Pine Barrens has its share of history and legends, such as the Jersey Devil, said to have the head of a horse, large wings, and claws. The Jersey Devil tours are offered for the courageous. So, Pine Barrens. Okay. Then in Washington, D.C., we have, this, along with all the normal standard things, we have the International Spy Museum in Washington, D.C. You and your children can learn firsthand how a spy camera operates at the only museum in the United States dedicated to the world of espionage. Upon your arrival at Washington, D.C.'s International Spy Museum, you'll adopt a cover and receive a new identity. You'll need to remember this information to see how well you perform as a spy, particularly when border guards throughout the museum interrogate you. So if you're interested in spies or your kids are like that, it'd be great. Then we have, just outside of Washington, D.C., we have the Stephen F. Udvar Hazy Center, Stephen F. Udvar Hazy Center, right here, which is actually a part of the Smithsonian Institution. There are 2 Smithsonian museums that are not in Washington, D.C. This is one of them, and the other one is the Design Museum, which I believe it's Cooper Hewitt Design Museum, which is in New York City. The Stephen F. Udvar-Hazy Center, an extension of the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum, was built to display the thousands of aviation and space travel artifacts that won't fit into the popular Washington, D.C. museum. That's the National Air and Space Museum in D.C. The Chantilly, Virginia facility showcases famous aircraft, spacecraft, rockets, satellites, and a wide assortment of other space exploration memorabilia. It's actually located at Dulles International Airport. A cavernous hangar that is more than 3 football fields in length and 10 stories high houses the Enola Gay, the plane that dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, a Concorde that once traveled in and out of the adjacent Dulles Airport, the world's fastest jet, the Space Shuttle Enterprise, and the Gemini 7 space capsule. So if you're into aviation, also it does mention this, but it also has the original model used of the alien spaceship that was used in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the big spaceship that comes down at the end. They have the model for that there at that center. So if you're into airplanes and spacecraft, that would be a great place to go. If you, especially if you're flying to Dulles, you take a little detour and go over there. All right, then we have the Georgia Aquarium, right here, Georgia Aquarium. The Georgia Aquarium in Atlanta is big, really big. The world's largest aquarium holds 8 million gallons of water, and more aquatic life lives there than in any other aquarium. One tank alone holds 6 million gallons of water. It has to be because it's home to whale sharks, the largest fish species on Earth. The rest of the aquarium features 100,000 animals in 60 separate habitats, as well as several major viewing galleries, each arranged around a theme. So if you're in Atlanta and you love fish, that would be a place to go. Then in Cincinnati, we have the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center. The National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, right over here. And it says here, Cincinnati was once a major hub of underground railroad activity due to its location on the Ohio River. In the 1800s, the city offered refuge to thousands fleeing slavery in the South. The National Underground Railroad Freedom Center showcases the importance and relevance of the human struggle for freedom in the United States and throughout the world in the past and present. Local educators helped design many of the exhibits to parallel the curricula of the area schools. The exhibits are child-friendly and use storytelling, role-playing, and hands-on activities to engage young visitors. So if you want to teach your kids about slavery and the history, the dark history of the United States, and as far in terms of slavery, that would be a great place to go. Then we have a national park most people have never heard about, Voyageurs National Park. And this one is a 2-page, has a full-page, beautiful color illustration here. Voyageurs National Park, it helps to know your way around canoes and other watercraft. Voyageurs is the only national park in the United States that has no roads. The park is accessible only by waterway, and that's perfectly okay for 250,000 visitors who explore the park's nearly 220,000 acres each year. Voyageurs extends along the southern edge of the Great Canadian Shield, also called the Laurentian Plateau, an enormous stretch of North America that includes most of Canada, parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and northern New York. Voyageurs lies in Minnesota, close to the International Falls. 55 miles of the park run along the U.S.-Canadian border. Rock formations rise in Voyageurs near the edge of the Canadian Shield. These ancient formations of exposed Precambrian rock were scoured by glaciers, which scraped the rocks into rugged shapes. A thin layer of topsoil that is sufficient for tree growth now covers some areas, including the park's north woods. Really one of the lesser-known national parks. Now, I have to, of course, include the picture here, the site mentioned in the cover. This is a place called Carhenge in Alliance, Nebraska. And as the name implies, it's Stonehenge only with cars. In the small town of Alliance, Nebraska, the unusual sculpture known as Carhenge. There is the unusual sculpture known as Carhenge. Carhenge is a replica of Stonehenge in terms of size and orientation, but the story of origins is a bit different. As creator Jim Reindeers explained, it was just something to do at our family reunion. Reindeers wasn't kidding. Carhenge was built during a reunion at the family farm in 1987. Reindeers and 35 of his relatives grabbed their backhoes, found a forklift, and worked 7 8-hour days to position the 38 cars, which were painted battleship gray in accordance with Stonehenge's appearance. People were immediately drawn to Carhenge despite its location 4 hours from Cheyenne, Wyoming. An estimated 40 to 80,000 folks visited each year. So It's a unique place. Then in Texas, we have the Big Thicket National Preserve right here. Now, when most people think, and I'm from Texas, when most people think of Texas, they think of cowboys and oil wells and the TV show Dallas. But there's another completely different part of Texas in the eastern United States where it's heavily forested. Eastern Texas is heavily forested with pine trees and all kinds of areas. It's actually more, East Texas is more southern than it is southwestern. And the Big Thicket's a great example of that. East Texas Big Thicket National Preserve is 97,000 acres of biological crossroads in southeast Texas. This is where the sultry swamps of the south, the verdant forest of the east, and the seemingly endless savanna of the Great Plains meet and mingle. Meadows are scarce as the flora thrives in the rich soil and wet climate. The unique environment translates into a habitat for all sorts of wildlife. In Big Thicket's diverse biosphere, desert roadrunners live alongside swamp critters such as alligators and frogs. They coexist near deer, mountain lions, and 300 species of nesting and migratory birds. This is the only place on the planet where many of these species live side by side. So if you're a birder, East Texas in particular is a magnificent place to go looking for birds, and especially during the migratory season in the Big Thicket, you're going to see birds there that you would not normally see all in one location. The next one is in New Mexico, and this is the Taos Pueblo. Right here, one of the two sets of buildings in Taos. The Taos Pueblo in northern New Mexico is the oldest continually occupied structure on the continent, dating back to AD 1000. Its adobe walls today house about 150 Taos Native Americans who maintain the ancient traditions of their ancestors. The Pueblo is not a historical artifact or recreation. It's an actual town that offers a fascinating introduction into Native American life. So it's the oldest continuously occupied sets of buildings in America, and they're in New Mexico. And the architectural style there, the adobe buildings, have influenced there's a whole branch of architecture, the Southwestern architecture that's been influenced by that. Then in Colorado, we have the Glenwood Springs Hot Pool, right here. Right here. Glenwood Springs Hot Pool, as you can see. These are really nice color illustrations on all of these. Open all year, no matter what the weather, the king-size swimming pool in Glenwood Springs, Colorado is more than 3 city blocks long. Located about 40 miles northwest of Aspen, it's the world's largest hot mineral pool and is naturally heated to a comfortable 90 to 93 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. Kids love cascading down the pool's 2 giant water slides and playing in the warm, relaxing water. There are lanes for lap swimmers, diving boards, and a special shallow pool for young children. And it goes on to say that there's also hiking and stuff down in the area, too. Then in Montana, we have the Museum of the Rockies, which has this big dinosaur skull here, Museum of the Rockies. Long before grizzlies and bighorn sheep roamed the Rockies, Montana's claim to fame was wildlife of a different kind, dinosaurs. About 60 million years ago, the region was tropical. Local dinosaurs included Tyrannosaurus rex, Apatosaurus, and Triceratops, all of which thrived until a shift in climate wiped them out. This rich prehistory is told at Bozeman's Museum of the Rockies, home to the largest collection of American dinosaur bones in the world, nearly all of which were discovered in Montana. Some displays showcase casts, and others hold real fossils, including the largest dinosaur skull in the world. So if you're into dinosaurs, your kids into dinosaurs, that would be a wonderful place to go. Then in California, we have Santa Catalina Island, right here, this beautiful island here. Only 22 miles from Los Angeles, Santa Catalina Island seems a world apart from the hustle and bustle of the big city across the water. It's a laid-back, traffic-free, clean air vacation spot that offers hiking, snorkeling, kayaking, and exploring. Visitors take ferries from San Pedro, Long Beach, or Dana Point to get to one of the Catalina's 2 principal towns. Both towns have picturesque harbors where boats of all shapes and sizes are located. Okay, so Santa Catalina Island, if you're in Los Angeles and you want to get away from everything, great place. Then we have in Washington State, the Museum of Glass. Museum of Glass right here. Okay. The Museum of Glass is Tacoma, Washington's splashy contribution to the contemporary art world. Its works in different media all have one thing in common. They all incorporate glass. Visitors can browse permanent and temporary exhibitions of all kinds of contemporary glass art. The museum's visiting artist collection is permanent, featuring works created on site at the Hot Shop Amphitheater. The Hot Shop has hot and cold glass studios and seating for 138 visitors, so you can actually watch people building or making glass sculptures and so forth. Then in Alaska, we have the Saxman Native Totem Park. See a totem pole here. This is the world's largest totem park, consisting of 24 ornate totem poles in Saxman in southeast Alaska. Most of the poles are not dated and were reclaimed from abandoned villages in the 1930s by the Civilian Conservation Corps and the United States Forest Service. Each totem pole at Saxman Native Totem Park is unique. The colorful carvings share the stories of their makers and the stories of the villages where they once stood. So they preserved native Alaskan totems, which otherwise would have been lost. And then finally, in Hawaii, we have Waimea Canyon. This really beautiful picture of the Waimea Canyon there. Dubbed the Grand Canyon of the Pacific by Mark Twain, Waimea Canyon's sharply eroded cliffs reveal layers of vivid colors that seem to change in the sun. Unlike the Grand Canyon, plentiful rainfall keeps the canyon and its surrounding area thick with vegetation, and visitors are frequently treated to the sight of vivid rainbows. At 10 miles long and 1 mile wide and more than 3,500 feet deep, this landmark on the Hawaiian island of Kauai is the largest canyon in the Pacific. And then there's some other sections on Mexico and Canada as well. So as you can see there, it's a wide range of places, unusual, out-of-the-way places, along with the standard tourist places that you can see. They're all illustrated with beautiful color illustrations. So this was a fun book just to kind of browse through, even if you're not planning on going anywhere. But if you are thinking about going on a vacation and you're looking for ideas, this is a wonderful book to thumb through and kind of get ideas of places you might want to try to go to. The book is Amazing Places to See in North America, and the authors are David Lewis, Laura Sutherland, and Eric Peterson. This has been another Man in Gray book review. Thanks for watching.